Fanatics. Welcome everyone to Fanatics 32 in 32, where I count down 32 teams in 32 days before the first game of the season. So this will be a daily. If you haven't been listening, it comes out every single day for 32 days, all the way up to the first game of the NFL season. And today I am on power ranking number 27, the Bears. And I feel so there's these teams that kind of like have become the enemy of the Panthers for whatever reason. I think everybody's like everybody wants to have won the Bryce trade, right? The to number one. So instead of people just being like, yeah, I think the Panthers and the Bears both won, everybody's like, oh no, you guys are gonna stink. You guys gave up so much. We stole these picks from you. Or, oh man, you only got these picks. You missed out on this great player. Good luck with Justin Fields. Guys, they both won. It's an even trade. Relax. Everybody relax. So I feel like I kind of have to go a little deeper on the Bears, especially because I have them at 27th, which is pretty low, I think, for some Bears fans, as the Saints, right? Because I think the what people are going to think is like, oh, you're just hating on the Bears because of you're pushing your Panthers narrative. So I'm going to go a little bit longer on this, probably than most of them. So the over under for the Bears is 7.5 wins. So what's kind of odd to me about that is Eberflus has 3 wins ever. Justin Fields is 5-20, and they expect 7.5 wins from a team that had 3 wins last year with no huge upgrades. So I did just. I'm glad I waited this long to do the podcast because Ngakoue just signed with the Bears, which they're making some good signings with the money they have. They're just kind of doing everything a little backwards than other people do. Like, for example, look at the Broncos or the Jets or these guys that like build up this roster and they just need the quarterback. It feels like what the Bears are doing is get the quarterback and then kind of build the roster around it. So it's different, but we'll see. I mean, it might work. Who knows? Eberflus, it comes from, this is also crazy, is that Eberflus and Reich work together. Like, they like each other. Like, we should like, Bears fans and Panthers fans should like each other. But Eberflus wasn't a defensive guy. I'm not, as a whole, in on defensive coaches, but defensive head coaches. But they work out. Belichick's a defensive guy. Harbaugh is a defensive. I mean, he's whatever. Doesn't matter. You can win as a defensive coach, obviously. So let's just get like this broad overview of what we think the plan is for the Bears. So one, they traded back for more picks, so they wanted more picks. So that automatically tells you they're trying to build. They're not really trying to win right now. They're trying to build. And then let's look at their picks, right? First round, offensive line, Darnell Wright. A second round, defensive line, Gervin Dexter. I think it's Gervin. Sorry if I mispronounced it. Another second round, Stevenson, defensive back. Third, defensive line, Pickens. And fourth, a running back in Roschon Johnson. So none of those guys are win now guys. Like, a lot of the guys that you can get in early rounds that can help you right away, running backs, receivers, I guess defensive backs can. When you look at Sauce, Surtain, Horn, like those guys like were good right away. But for the most part, I mean, we sat there and watched as a Panthers fan, Derek Brown didn't really break out until year 3. I feel like defensive linemen in general are like that. Took Burns a little bit as a pass rusher. I mean, look at Hutchinson. He was fine, but it wasn't great his first year. So these all look like kind of 2-3 year ahead picks for where they want to be, and not this year. So when people talk, listen, they're basically telling you, we're not trying to win right now. We're trying to win in 2 years, 3 years. What's odd about that is that you have to know that Fields is going to be your future, because if he's not, you're basically starting all over again. So they're doing it a little different, but it might work. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. And then you look at their what else is different about them is, well, they did just get a pass rusher, so that's good. But usually, like, if you're going to spend $100 million, you're going to go heavy left tackle. You're going to go heavy on edge rusher, which they did. Safety, corner, quarterback, wide receiver. Like, those are the ones that you're going to spend a lot of money on if you're going to win right now. They spend their money on Edmonds, Edwards. They did get a lineman in Davis. They got defensive line, Billings, Green, Walker. And they brought DJ Moore in, which what I talked about, receiver. And I guess they spent a second rounder on Claypool last year. So they're just doing it in kind of an odd way. It's just kind of interesting, kind of odd. It doesn't look like it looks like they're trying to kind of just throw things in a pot and hope that it works without like a real sort of plan. And I'm not talking about in like how I feel about the position, but in as sort of a rule in defense, you can find linebackers, right? You care more about the edge rushers or the D tackle or the safety. You can find linebackers. The Raiders, we cut Denzel Perryman, or we traded him for like a fifth rounder or something, and he ended up being a Pro Bowler in Oakland or in Las Vegas. So it's just odd. It's just odd. They're spending money in odd places. They're drafting people at odd times. If I were them, I would have traded Fields, started over with Bryce or whoever you liked in the class. So it not because I don't like Fields, because of the way they're building their team. So I'll digress. We'll get into all of that. I just it's just interesting. I think this team and what they're doing is interesting, and I'm trying to follow along, but I just don't really get it. So let's go. Let's see what their schedule is. Actually, let me preface with their schedule. Let me do some O-line, D-line, because I think those are really, really important. The rest, these are PFF grades. The rest, you can scheme stuff like for pass rush, for receivers, for backs, for tight ends, all that kind of stuff. So some of that comes down to coaching. But O-line and D-line, can you stop the run? Can you rush the passer? Can you protect the quarterback? And can you run the ball? Their O-line this year is ranked 21st, which ain't great. And their D-line is ranked 31st, which ain't great. And I think that their problem is going to be a lot the same problem as the Saints, is you're just going to be on the field too much because you've got a lot of teams that you're going against that can run the football, right? Like too many players on too many coaches can see that your defensive line is not very good, and they're just going to run right at you. So if you're the 31st ranked D-line, maybe they had a defensive coach, maybe they upgrade that. They did get some new guys in. They got 6 guys in the front 7 in. Some of them be rotational pieces, but PFF has them 31. So let's go through the schedule. So I got Green Bay at home. That's a loss. They're just going to run at you, and you got to have some time to gel. And they got 2 great backs. They got a pretty good line. And they're gonna ease their new quarterback in. So I think they're just gonna run the ball heavily, and I think they're gonna have a lot of success because Bears don't have a good defensive line. Then we're at Tampa Bay. I think that's a loss for the Bears because it's on the road, and I think Tampa has been hearing how bad they're supposed to be. And the first couple of games, I think they come out really, really fired up, and then they showed their true colors. And it's on the road. So I think Tampa Bay's got good players, man. They really do. And I'll talk about them on the next pod because they're my sneak peek. They're my 26th best team. So I got them a loss at Tampa Bay. At Kansas City, of course, it's a loss. At home, they get Denver. Denver is coming off a loss, in my opinion, to Miami. And then the following week, they have the Jets. So I think that they are looking ahead to the Jets already. Who knows if they're going to be able to run the ball? They don't have a great offensive line. We'll see what Javonte Williams looks like. It's early in the season. I don't think they're going to have a lot of success running it. I think the Bears are amped up at home against Denver, and I think they beat Denver, so that's a win. They go to Washington. Washington, I think, has at least the top three defense in football. They're on the road, and I think Washington wants to run the ball, and they have success against the Bears. They got Minnesota at home. I'm not sold on Alexander Mattison. I'm not sold on their offensive line as a whole. If you're going to teams that they saw them twice last year, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as effectively as these other teams will against the Bears. And the Bears' sort of strength is their secondary. I mean, it's not a big strength, but it's better than their defensive line. So I have that as a win. So right now we're starting off 2-4 in the first 6. Then they get the Raiders at home. Josh Jacobs, they're going to run the ball. You can't stop it. So I got Raiders winning that game. At Chargers, no way they're winning. At New Orleans, I think I talked about this in the last one because I did the Saints before, or two shows ago. That's interesting because they both ain't great. Like, they both don't have good offensive lines, don't have good defensive lines. I think that Bears can make plays in that because Lattimore has seen TJ Moore so much. I think he knows his traits. I think the time he's going to still be coming in with DJ and Fields. I feel like their offensive system is meh, to be honest. I'm only giving that a loss to New Orleans because it's on the road. If that was at home, I think I would have Bears winning that. You get Carolina Panthers at home. They just got better players. Honestly, they got a better system. Reich knows tendencies with Eberflus. I think Eberflus also knows tendency with Reich, but Reich also has Thomas Brown bringing some new wrinkles, Deuce Staley, Jim Caldwell, Josh McCown. Like, he's integrating more thinking behind what he's doing, where it doesn't feel like Eberflus is getting that same level of consulting. So I got Carolina winning that. So right now we are at 3-9. So they matched their win total in the first 12 games, or 3-8. Sorry. So then they're at Detroit. That's a loss. They're not going to be able to stop the run. Too good of offensive line. At Minnesota, I don't think they can beat Minnesota twice. So it's a revenge game for Minnesota. They win at home to Detroit. They just saw them. They're at home. They need a win. Those guys show up. I think that's a win for them. Then they're at Cleveland. It's on the road. And Cleveland, I think, is going to be in the hunt for the playoffs. So I don't think they're making the playoffs. So I think they're going to be in the hunt. And they really need to win that. So I think it's a loss for them. Arizona is going to be giving up at this point. So they beat Arizona. They're going to lose to Atlanta because Atlanta is going to be close. I think I have them just missing the playoffs. And they're going to run the ball. Can't stop the run. So it's a loss, and then you're at Green Bay, and I think they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. So again, that's a loss too, because those last two, they're both going to be fighting for spots. Your season's going to be pretty much over. They'll start, putting guys on IR, resting guys, all that kind of stuff. So overall, I have them at 5-12, which equals their win total, or Justin Fields' win total for the last 2 years combined. So it's moving up. So it's in the right direction. I know they had a lot of close games last year, but a lot of the closeness was because, in my opinion, Justin Fields just made the same plays. I don't think you can duplicate let me see what he had. Did he have 1,500 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns? Am I reading that right? I think he has 1,500 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. No way, that's right. Either way, he had a lot of yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. The problem is, last 2 years, 24 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, 28 fumbles. So when he is running, not taking care of the ball, 59.7 career completion percentage, averaging around, 2,000 yards per year. Um, that's not good. And quarterback rating of 79.4. So they're all, everything's pointing to them getting younger. They traded away Roquan Smith. Was Akeem Hicks last year, I think. They let Montgomery go. I don't. It didn't seem, because Herbert had some good games last year. It didn't seem like they liked him though. Like when Montgomery came back, Herbert was kind of like kicked out. It was like Montgomery's job again. And they draft this kid Roschon Johnson, and that's kind of like a lot of people are considering him like a sleeper kind of player. So I don't know if Herbert's just going to be the starter by the end of the season. So they get young. They get young everywhere. Claypool's still young. I think he's in his fourth season. Mooney's in his third. DJ's in his sixth or seventh. Fields is in his third. You're drafting all these guys in the offensive defensive line as rookies, so they're just all starting out. This is all pointing to a 2-3 year rebuild. All of it. I don't see. They just gave a commit a contract. He's young. I just don't see these young guys. Granted, I think a lot of them have a lot of talent. Coaching is going to matter. I think Eberflus is fourth in line for fourth best odds to be fired first. I just don't know if he's very good coach. I think he's a better defensive coordinator than coach. I don't even know if he's a very good defensive coordinator. But I don't see anything pointing to 7.5 wins. Nothing. Like, I don't see a team this young winning 7.5 games. All you're pointing it on is the excitement of Justin Fields. That's not going to do it. An exciting player isn't going to win games. He was exciting last year. They won 3 games. We got DJ Moore. DJ Moore had 888 yards last year, and he's going to even a worse quarterback. Which I'm saying Justin Fields worse. I'm saying that he's not a great pass. He's hasn't been a great passer as of yet, and it takes some time for quarterback and receiver to get timing, especially if you don't have any time. If you have a 21st worst offensive line and you got guys rushing you, I mean, you're looking at Tampa. You're going against Tampa Bay, who's going to come after you with Vontae David, Vita Vea. Obviously, the big dude just like coming at you. And then you're going to go to Kansas City with Chris Jones, and then you're going to go to Washington with Payne and Chase Young, and you just got to go. You're going to go against these guys over and over, and you're going to get a Max Crosby. You're going to get Joey Bosa, and you're just going to get these guys over and over and over again. And if your line is not very good, he's just not going to have the time. And I don't think that the coaching staff's good enough to scheme these guys open. There's not. All I can do right now as a whole. I know I just gave like a lot of information, but I feel like I have to because I don't want this to feel like I'm trying to say that I think that this team will not be eventually good. They're just too young. They're just all too young. They don't have. I mean, I know Edmonds is a vet, but you had Roquan Smith last year, and you're still terrible. So, I mean, I think she's rebuilding. I think you're rebuilding. I think Ngakoue is like kind of a weird signing because he's a 1-year deal, and you're not trying to be competitive. I think it's more of a fan signing, like a look, we're trying to win, buy tickets kind of signing. Because he doesn't make you that much better. I mean, he gets sacks, but your problem is that you can't stop the run. You're not good at rushing the passer, but you can't stop the run. So, we'll see. Let's touch on the receivers a little bit. I like Mooney, but we need to pump the brakes on him. He had 1,000-yard season. He's a 6th-rounder. He's a good player, but hold off a little bit on him. Claypool, all I've heard about reports is doesn't want to practice, lazy, stupid athletic. And he has, when he was in Pittsburgh, he put up yards, man. But when people talk, listen, and Pittsburgh was like, see ya, bro. Why would Pittsburgh do that with a guy that was in his 3rd year? if he's that talented, there's got to be something. There's got to be something there. And sometimes guys just need a fresh start. But you're going through the stability of Pittsburgh to a first year head coach last year that won 3 games into the second year. If you're not gonna be able to fix yourself or your game or whatever in Pittsburgh, I don't know if it's possible to do it, because that's where all receivers want to go. That's where all receivers become breakouts. Like that's like receiver U, I guess, for the NFL. Everybody who goes to Pittsburgh is good. So we'll see. I like Cole Kmet, but people act like he's this top 15 to 10, 5 guy. He's probably somewhere between 10 and 15 in tight ends. But like it's the tight end. Like, tight ends matter in fantasy football, and they matter when you're Travis Kelce and Darren Waller and George Kittle and those like elite guys. But once you get down, they're just how much better is he than Hayden Hurst? Like how much you're kind of like in that Gerald Everett, Higbee, those kind of guys. So I like Cole Kmet, and they paid him, and they like him, and he can definitely grow in this system. And I think that's going to matter more than his talent, is being able to grow with Fields and have that connection. So I don't want to like delay it too long, because I feel like I've already told you how I feel about this. Overall, it's interesting what they're doing because it's a little backwards, and they're obviously telling you we're not winning this year. We're not trying to win this year. We're trying to win next year or the year after, because the kind of guys they drafted, the kind of guys they brought in, and honestly, I think they're going to give Eberflus probably, if they end up going, if they start the season 2-4, you might see they might fire Eberflus. I think we'll see what the offense looks, but it didn't look great last year, and it was basically Justin Fields or nothing. So you get in, say you get Thomas Brown, man. Say you get Thomas Brown. Fitterer and the GM for Chicago, they're buddies. I mean, they'll talk. If Thomas Brown does something with the Panthers this year, look out. That could be your coach in 2 years. So I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I don't want to vamp too long. This was actually shorter than I thought it was going to be, but I just wanted to make sure that I got everything in and got my full point across, because I don't want Bears fans to come after me like I'm just hating on them because I'm a Panthers fan and they weirdly have beef now, I guess. But thanks for listening. Coming at you next time, which will be tomorrow, unless you're listening to this delayed, then it might be today. So we'll see. All right. Catch you next time. Let me see if I can get some like really cool outro. Like, thanks for watching. Or we'll figure it out next time. All right. Bye, y'all.